But I wanted to stop relying too much on others, so I started doing things myself. This could be a sensation of boredom. Maybe that was expressing gossip. Right. Okay, let's check the list. Where are we? Okay, wow, you know, this is how super sharp this thing is. Well, I'm just recording ahead. Yeah. Just had oh, I would like to say nice. I had a conversation with my neighbor. The sensation of boredom is where we're at, and it is, as most of my content, inspired by my life. First of all, you know, those shutters, kind of here where it's brighter, it kind of broke off, and then I tried to fix it, and then this came loose. Now I can't, and it's a hack job to open this, but I want to do it myself. Plus I've been busy. You know, I have made what you could call a hiking rod. I call it a staff. I mean, I know things about channeling energy. I'm just saying, does it defeat the purpose to show you this? I don't think so, because what you get is just the material stuff. This is the top. It's for channeling energy. And I just had the feeling that I needed this for my hikes. It's the first time I have done something like this. It's completely intuitive. Also, the materials were all there. I love it. I'm gonna test it at my next hike and see if there is a difference, if it's easier or harder. I think I have a little coffee table. Okay, what I'm gonna do now is channeling energy into food. But that's not gonna be I eat it right away kind of food. Okay, question. I think I'm gonna keep the coconut cream. Why? At the moment I have more urgent things to discuss. Right, it's all a bit weird, right? Okay, I have been busy this. I have installed this. Comes from there. I have brought this, which just goes into the thing. It's really nice. I have been busy in the bathroom. Have I shown you this? Right. So all it's resting on is this little edge. No screws, nothing. I just took it from the forest and I brought it here and now it's this. And then I have made this. Well, this actually I added it. Why? Because the first thing I installed here, the switch, you know, when you try to touch it, you got a shock. And because it's an LED, it doesn't get as hot. And then I just put old fabric from a shirt and then wrapped it with just hemp string. This clearly adds something nice for having a bath. I had a bath last night, spontaneous. Why? I felt dirty. I felt used. I felt disgusted. The water, as usual, goes into the bucket. From the bucket, I flush the toilet with it. Here I am soaking bone from beef that I bought. I did the dishes. That was a lot. Okay. Now I bought apples. I'm gonna make some apple mousse. The one that's in the fridge, in the cellar, is gonna stay there. I'm not sure when yet, but I'm going to go hiking at some point. So the sensation of boredom, my friend. You stop. I mean, this is the sensation of boredom. People sitting around eating this. Because you don't have to go collect them anymore. I mean, gossip is also a very nasty way of using boredom. I have shown you this, but a friend made that, including this thing. And it was the first one he made, or maybe the second one. I'm not exactly sure about that. It's not my doing. But I wanted to stop relying too much on others, so I started doing things myself. This could be a sensation of boredom. Maybe that was expressing gossip. Right? This could also be the sensation of boredom. And so can this. Right? So we live in a world where everything is already kind of discovered, except for yourself, of course. Everything is kind of, you don't really have to plan anything. You could just work for money and buy everything. But that too gets boring, so you watch movies. But that too gets boring, so you go and gossip, or you do what I did, and you just stop with a lot of the stuff you did before, and simply start doing other things. So in a way, there was this time where I made a lot of music. And the way it happened was I simply said, I'm going to stop listening to music, to make music how it used to be people, how it used to be people would just gather together. Never just gather together, but they would gather together. And then things would happen. Like in Ireland, right? You'd go to a pub, people would come, bring their instrument, and then go nuts on it. Right? And some nights there may be someone that can sing, and some nights he'll just play. And some nights there's this guy, and then there's the guy who's always there. And then some people just occasionally join. Hey, let's see if someone's at the pub fiddling, so I can bring my flute. Right? We used to be really creative. Really creative. We used to be really creative. We created lots of stuff, and then we just created machines. And then we let it up to the machines to create more machines, or to create food, or to create whatever else. Now, I'm being kind of bothered by people who are not creative, who have no outlet but simply gossip. So instead of spending time with themselves and figuring out their problems, they sit around and worry about others, or hate others, or gossip, or that kind of stuff. And I can safely say that I was never really into this. Right? Just as I have almost once tried anal sex, but it didn't really work and I wasn't really into it, so I never tried it again. Question if a woman, right, or your wife would offer you her anus, I think you should just refuse. You just say, I like the real you, not your anus. I'm just saying, you can simply refuse, because sometimes women say things just to test you. There's women that would just tell you to punch them just to see if you would do it. Right? There are women like this. They don't come and say, if I ask you, would you punch me? No, they just scream at you and say, punch me. And if you then do it, then you lost. Then they're just gonna hate you. So, I don't know why some people do it. There's really people that do these things. But these people are... I don't know, man. Why would you do something like this? Right? I would never do it. So there's people who try me in all kinds of ways, and I have so many projects that I can escape into. So I have the hat, right? That's the wool for the hat, right? I have repotted this plant. There's all these flies always in there. So I made a trap with dishwashing liquid, some lime juice, and water. So yeah, I made a trap. And then I made my first stuff. Wow, there's a lot of masculine energy in there, man. I couldn't have done it before. I had it already. I knew I would do it one day. I had the rod. I had it already for some time. And now it's standing here because I put some wood, like butter. It's like beeswax mixed with coconut fat. I put it around this. Like, I tried to make it really super sturdy, like myself. And now maybe I'm charging it in the sunshine. I don't know, man. Because, like, I don't have all the answers. But if I'm bored, I simply make art, and other people sit around and they're just lost, because what are you going to do? I mean, you know, there I have a little bit of a problem, because, you know, time is relative, and so is age. So if you're a spirit and you're reluctant to change, then you're going to look really old. And now I'm just going to cut. First of all, okay, this is going to be... because I was actually looking for this. This I also made. It's also DIY. I have shown you this already, but now it's relevant. This... Oh, plus I'm reading Dune. Wow, super awesome book. Super nice. I'm looking forward to finishing the book, but it's in German. It's actually a relief at the moment. I had trouble getting into... So first of all, I hammered this flat. This I had. It came with the camera. And then I used this stuff you normally use to fix tires. No, actually I used something else. So this thing, yeah, it's from the GoPro, whatever. So I put this on here. This sticks by itself, but then I was afraid that around it could come off. So I simply took this stuff you use to fix tires, but now I see it's looking a bit dirty, so I may take the hot glue pistol, and just make it look neat around it. Could even use silicone just to keep moisture from getting in there, but I think I'll stick with the hot glue stuff. I mean, these I made myself, the curtains. Right, the lamp cover I made myself from an old shirt. And inside there's a... where you put your... How do you call these things? This. You know, once I ripped this apart, and then I sewed it together again. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you break things so you can repair them again. And if your neighbor is really in your face because of nothing, well then she's struggling. And then what do? I don't know, man. Well, you cannot give her information. Because I have done it, I have tested her once, or I have fallen for her nonsense once. And she used it to play me, but at the same time it was probably good it happened that way. Because if I would have just done it without consulting my landlady, because we actually get along quite well. I mean, she gave me the job in the garden. Yeah. Sometimes I screw things, like I always screw everything so tight. And that's the downside. You know, if you have a lot of strength, it's easy to... it's hard to be manipulated if you are aware. What am I saying? Okay. If you have a lot of strength, then you have to take responsibility for it. I'm saying this because I feel it is important. Okay, I'm gonna do the... Okay, what am I saying again? Oh yeah. I'm telling you that you have to take responsibility for your energy. Because it's your energy. Oh, it's in the fridge. I mean, as a child, I used to eat my boogies. Like, it's so disgusting. Yes, so what? There's way more disgusting things that people do. Like gossip. Sensation of boredom. there's food I have to eat. There's also food in the fridge, but right now I feel like I'm already waiting for some time to eat. I just have to replace this because this is where every time you do the dishes, there's this moment where you just did the dishes, you put everything back, and then you take one spoon and you're like, there we go again. So the sensation of boredom is also, I mean, you should always have 1 or 2 projects that just annoy you a little bit. I mean, after your body is somewhat done, because that too is something that you could, at the moment, I mean, for me, my body is kind of okay. I have put a lot of work into it. I feel like it's stable. Now simply I have to maintain this. But I also have new projects such as maybe holding the handstand. I don't know, dancing. What's with my lower back, right? Why do I keep having... I mean, is this just a symptom of channeling, or... what is this? Right? So you can have questions that you spend a lot of time with, or sit with, but you can also have real things. I mean, people always act like, they treat me like I'm completely aware of what I'm doing. What they don't get is that I'm not, right? I don't know what you feel or what you see when you see me. But sometimes people look terrified in my presence. I don't know why. Of course, because I'm terrifying, my friend. I mean, don't you get it? I mean, you do realize what I'm doing requires a lot of energy, which is what most people are lacking. Most people are afraid of all the attention, and I'm simply asking for it. Because attention is energy. And so if you want to, if you want to channel, then you have to ask for attention. But for that you also have to know a thing or two about mind manipulation. Right? So yeah, I have been thinking, why should I not go hiking now? Why should I not do this now? Why? I mean, there's so many things I could be doing, but now again and again, sometimes I simply choose to stay here because I realize that there's still more to do. Now, it says in here because I have no scale. Usually it's 4 times the amount. It says 1 liter of milk and 250 grams milk rice. Now, thank God it says 250 grams on here. So it's 1 liter Moloko milk. If you want the extra creamy version, you can use milk and coconut cream, but that's probably overkill. I don't know when I started loving milk. Okay, which spices? Exactly like this. So sometimes I let people kind of have a go at me, but I don't give them anything anymore. If they ask me questions, they get no information from me anymore, and that confuses them because normally it works. Like my neighbor who lives in the same house, unwillingly of course. Zack. Has, you know, I bought this gas stove and I told her about it, and she told the landlady, and then the landlady was on my back and said I wasn't allowed to do this. I'm not allowed to cook with gas, she said. Well, now I'm just waiting until the energy is fading away. So if somebody wants to pick a fight with you, you just say, whatever, I've got time. Right? Because I've got time. You don't have time. You're running out of time. But I still have time. You know, I don't have to do this now. I can do this in 5 years. I already have the stove. You know, give me a couple of months. You'll be sorry. You'll be sorry that you forbade it. And why? Because I know how to work with shame, right? I'm just gonna tell you a few things about myself, because I know that the only reason you forbid me to do this is because you want to feel in charge, right? You want to feel in charge. Why do you want to feel in charge? Because you've been trained by control freaks. And so, right, you're trying to do the same thing. And that simply is the truth. Right? Everyone's kind of a control freak. And when they sit around, what do? They watch TV. And they sit around, what do? I tell them, you know, you could start knitting. But they don't want that. Because now they live in a world where everyone gossips. Well, I realize that you live in this world, which is why I don't talk to you. Right? Because you'll go around and talk to some kind of people about what I just said. Right? But, you know, I have a podcast. I can talk to potentially millions of people, which is why, you know, if I kind of gossip because I tell you what my neighbor just did, I mean, you know, what's better? I mean, I believe that you kind of understand what I'm trying to tell you here. I mean, I realize that a lot of people are really out of balance, but they also do not want to change this. Why? Because if they wanted to change that, 50 cents for the bag. I'm just saying, super nice. I haven't had apples. Wow, this is gonna be a welcome meal. Okay, with milk rice, you just heat it up. You bring it to a boil, and after you've done that, you can actually put it to the side because it burns easily. I know that back in the days they brought it into a boil and then they put it into the bed, like covered it with a blanket. That's actually quite nice. Why? Because it saves energy, and lots of it. Now I've made tea, and I've been waiting for an opportunity to put this into the fridge, so I have iced tea, which then transforms. Oh no, wait. It was, wait, who was it? Ice Cube? No. Somebody, I'm just paraphrasing or something, Rick or Morty, where he suddenly transforms into iced tea. You know, that's still around. And so is my gossiping neighbor. Okay, now I just wish to stop talking, because it's simply always the same thing. Right? It's very tedious because I have been raised like this and I simply refused it because everybody did it. Everybody was always waiting for an opportunity to gossip. And then you simply stop to participate. And then people hate you for that. You know, then they gossip about you because why doesn't he gossip? What does he have to hide, you know? Well, nothing. I've got nothing to hide. You know, I already put it all out there. So everybody just gossips. Why do they gossip? Well, because they feel ashamed about themselves. And because they don't want to confront that, they simply gossip about others. Oh, that's why they do it. Yeah, man. I mean, we've all been doing it to a certain degree. Wow. Whew. Right? To a certain degree, we have all been doing it. I have done it maybe, but always try to make up for it. There was once a young woman, and I thought I had made friends. I thought I had made friends. And then I said some mean things about her, but as I got to know her, I actually really liked her. So often we also gossip because we're afraid, we're preoccupied. Yeah, this stove only knows full charge, which is probably... Okay, just give me a second to pull myself together. Yeah, I mean, people try to work their weird witchcraft on me, which they have been doing for years and years, and then suddenly I come along and nothing works. They just cannot get me. They cannot catch me, right? They cannot make me do what they want me to do, and it drives them insane. Trust me. It drives them insane. but they keep trying. Okay, certainly cloves. Green. Where's the green cardamom? Right? Green cardamom. Okay? So they've been trying to push me into a corner, to turn me into one of their, babbling husbands that just sits around eating cake with them. So they're trying to control me, but it just doesn't work. But they keep trying. They keep trying. But what they don't get is, because they're so used to kind of like winning. I mean, we're talking about old women, and some of these women's are in charge, but not in my world, because in my world, you know who's in charge? The strongest. Well, I can hike 30 kilometers in one day. What do you do in one day? You sit on a couch. The furthest distance you walk is the shops. So, I mean, what are you trying to tell me? I'm trying to maintain this for the rest of my life until I leave. And what you were trying to maintain is, gossiping, eating cake, and watching TV. I mean, you could have done so many things with all the time you've been given, but you just wasted it on worshipping the industry, telling people that we live in a social state, while your behavior is exactly antisocial. And then somebody comes along. He takes a broom, he just picks up the broom, and he simply, brushes or cleans the yard. And then your neighbor comes and says, "What are you doing? We don't do this here." And you're like, "Well, I do. I mean, you just moved here. You're the new guy." So normally how it would work is, you're the new guy, they tell you how it's done. But I tell them how it's done, right? I tell them how it's done. And they don't like it. Because they thought, "Oh yeah, I'm old, I'm in charge." No, you're not. Because if you're old and you keep getting sleepy, right, then a young one's gonna come and take over from you. Well, you don't like that. Well, too bad. You're power hungry much? Are you power hungry much, little old woman? Maybe, yeah? Okay, This is fresh turmeric. Okay, I've seen some that looked a bit moldy. Well, where is it? Ah, that one. So I'm going to take that one first. And then I have to see to it that I keep using this. I also received a gift. Yeah, black pepper. Black pepper should certainly go. This is what I do then. I just had a moment with my neighbor where she said, I'm sick in the head. Well, I mean, you're obese. You cannot even stand straight. You have to lean like this when you talk to me. So, right, sickness, mind, body, and soul. I look at you. You're obese, you're wobbly. Okay, I think I know what's going on. You have a distorted worldview. So that's all there is to it. It's very simple. Oh yes, I got it. And for a lot of people, it's very hard to accept. Very hard to accept. Or it's easier to say, no, it's actually, for some people, they just don't understand it. That they have just wasted their time. And now somebody comes and shows it to them. This is black pepper. Maybe a teaspoon. I just need spicy food. I mean, cloves are already spicy. So, you know, I just blew your mind, literally. Because why do you say what she said? You know, she was trying to understand. You know, because normally how people are is, you know, they act nice in order to have conversations and sit around. Right? Normally people are like this. They just like to have conversations. What? Okay, what am I saying? Yeah, they just like to have conversations, right? Because that's what people think, that's what you have to do. It's a social state, so you sit around and talk. But once you realize that if you talk a lot to certain people and they just use what you say against you, well, then you'll just stop. And that to them makes no sense because everyone does it. And now you're supposed to behave like a neighbor. Because we live in the same house or something. I'm like, I don't think we do actually. Because in my mind, there's no space for you. So I have to clean you, right? You're like a weed. You know, I'm plugging you. I don't know what you're doing in my space. No, that's pretty bad for you. So you should stop trying to draw my attention because you're only gonna lose. Because I'm much smarter than you are. I tested you once. Okay, that's maybe... Okay. That's a lot of black pepper. But I need a punch. So maybe tomorrow, I'm not yet sure of it. Okay, this is an alternative method for if you don't have something to grate. Nutmeg. You can just do it like this. Yeah, I'm gonna start refurbishing knives. Not super... I mean, I just shut my neighbor off completely. Not sure if you get that. I mean, she wanted to talk to me. She's probably one of the older ones, and she used to have the power because she was the one with the husband. And she managed to control him. And so she was ruling everyone, kind of. And I simply put an end to that by being my own guy, right? I just do what I want. I mean, what do you want to say? So she asked me questions and I simply said, what do you want from me? And that just is super weird for her because nobody is that direct. Everybody kind of plays around or screws around. Nobody really gets to the point at all. And I simply get to the point, and some people, they don't get that because they're stuck at playing. Yeah, I mean, I can play a little like You know, cat plays with the mouse. But if the mouse wants to play with the cat, right, I mean, I don't know. It'll better know where the dogs are. You know what I mean? So you're trying to play catch with me. I mean, who are you gonna catch? I mean, there's nothing left. Who are you gonna catch? No, I just react to everything. So I also react to my boredom, and sometimes I wait till I'm super bored, and then the good ideas come. And that's already super hard to get to, because you actually have to kind of like, you just have to be patient, and then wait. And then you sit and you wait. Sometimes it takes a long time. And then suddenly you get a vision. This is what you could do. And then you just do it. So now I've had the vision. I'm gonna record this. Earlier I had the vision to go down and cut. There's this weird tree that if it were up to me, I'd just take it out. I mean, if I'm here long enough, I probably will. And replace it with something that I feel should grow here. Right? Why? Because it's it comes from the Anden or something. Some kind of like a pine tree, but it doesn't come from here. So people just plant these things that are more like weeds, and then they hone them, and that's like gossip. Gossip is like a weed, but people hone the skill of gossip. You know, what a useless thing. You can pride yourself, oh wow, I gossiped really well today. Okay, yeah, I made a staff. What? I made a staff. What's that? Something for hiking. I mean, it's also for channeling energy and to ward off weak ass spells, but also strong ones. But it's just for channeling energy, right? Because it's getting a bit much, and now I'm sick of drinking wine all the time to escape. So I'm just gonna go hiking a lot more and just channel, just channel all the energy that I can. And you're like, what? Yeah, sorry, I wasn't aware. I mean, I wasn't aware that you cannot see both worlds, right? Because you're afraid. What am I? Yeah, exactly. I mean, because it's true. And because it is true, it's simply disarming. Because everyone knows that it's true. Right? Everyone. Even the politicians know it. Because they're doing it. But they're just doing it for themselves. Right? It used to be different. But this is always like that. Right? It starts, it's kind of nice. And then look at it, 20 years later. And then it's just crap. And then everybody just gossips, like I said, right? Okay, green cardamom. So the sensation of boredom is just that. A lot of people who just want to pick fights instead of being creative. I mean, if your wife picks fights, it's the obvious solution. You should make a child. She needs to transcend. You're there, you should be helping her. But you're not doing it. So why not? Why are you not doing it? Why are you so selfish with yourself? Give yourself to her. So she can, make your life soft and squeaky. Squeaky and squishy. It's super like, a child, oh, it's so cute, that kind of stuff. So, do you know what this is about? It's about feeling like you deserve the woman so you can stop escaping her and just go hiking with her instead. Or something else, I don't know what the book says, What does it say in Fiddler on the Roof? As the good book says. That's not in the book. Well, it's in my book, he should have said. This is why I follow no religion. I simply carry faith in my heart. But I see who you are. I see what you do. And I see what you fail to see. That if you only serve the shadow, that's what you're gonna get. I mean, that's basically, how's it called? You know, this Sam guy movie thing. Sam, oh, it's not Sam the Ghost, that one. Right, there's this one guy and he's super nice and he's trying, you know, Patrick Swayze. He's trying to get back to his wife, you know, that kind of stuff. And then there's this evil guy who's a murderer or something, or a rapist, I don't quite get it. But, you know, he's doing that kind of stuff. And then what happens, well, maybe he's the guy who killed Patrick Swayze. Whatever. I mean, and then what happens, well, in the end, he gets carried off by all these evil things. So yeah, maybe it is a bit like Highlander, because I have fought people in the park with a frisbee. You know, but frisbee on the other side is Valhalla. I mean, you lose, you die. That's simply how it is. So I just started taking this a bit more serious. I mean, if you challenge me, we're gonna play till it's done. I mean, we're gonna play till it's done, and that's how you transcend, right? I mean, you know, if you want to know something about Tantra that I haven't experienced yet, but that I know is like this, that you have to keep going until the session is done. I mean, if your wife's still hungry, then you have to keep going until she's satisfied. And for that, I'm holding planks, because I hope that one day she's gonna claim me and say, now I'm gonna pay a bit more attention to you. And you're like, oh boy, that's gonna be squeaky. And she probably thinks it's torture, right? That's how I often feel. You know, I think I'm super evil and super mean, but in the end it's actually always good. I mean, I've never really done anything bad. Everybody always acts like I'm the worst possible guy, and I just don't get it. Right? Because I'm not. I'm actually nice. I'm trying to... It's not like I'm trying to... wait. No. It's not like I'm trying to be friends with everyone. You know, I stopped trying. But I simply do what I feel like. And if you do what you feel like, right, then do it without me. Because that's what you should feel like doing. Because if you try to draw me away from my own purpose, you know, getting off trail, you know, I'll have to defend myself. And sometimes you leave the trail, and then your neighbor comes, you know, tries to get at you because she's gone mad. I mean, spirit gone mad. It's simply, that's what it is. Spirit's gone mad. Too much coffee, too much torture. Right? Prison Planet, right in your face. I mean, everyone's just being tortured inside their minds. And then they sit around smoking. I mean, how good can your advice be? right? I mean, if you don't even know how to stop smoking, I mean, you could be doing so much with your time here, but you sit around smoking. Why? I mean, you cannot give good advice when you're smoking. That's just how it is. Okay, can you give good advice when you drink coffee? Well, that's a hard one. That's a hard one. Well, can you make art when you drink coffee? I mean, to me, when I drink a coffee, it kind of like boosts me into doing what I want. But if I drink 5 coffee, then I'm just gonna shoot through the wall. So if I smoke, then usually you just do nothing, right? It's super hard to focus on writing a book after you smoke, because you should be focused, but what smoking does is psh, you're just everywhere, but not where you should be. So you're trying to get back to concentric, looking at your life and dealing with your stuff. And people just don't get that, right? And you cannot explain it to them. Why? Why is a raven like a writing desk? Because they're both beings of nature, or they both come from nature. Right? They're both beings of nature. And that's super true. Okay, normally, of course, this should go with cinnamon, but I'll put the cinnamon into this. I mean, that's my answer. Why? Why is a raven like a writing desk? Right? Because they're both beings of nature. That's just a wild guess. Why? Everybody just says, well, that cannot be the answer. You know, that's what I don't like. If you're asking me a riddle and you're expecting me to give you the answer that you thought is right, then I'm not gonna play. I mean, if you're asking me a riddle, then the answer should be open. And if you don't get my answer, then you should allow me to explain myself. So there are no right and wrong answers for who are you, right? Because that's Zen, right? These Zen koans, you know, you can play that, right? Who are you? Well, who are you? Right, I can play that with people. But who are you? Well, you're the woman that gossips, which is why I don't give you anything anymore, because you're obese and lazy. So you're sadistic, masochistic piece of furniture. And that's all I needed to know. And after I knew it, because she was acting super nice a couple of times, thought she could get me to reveal all my secrets so she could run around and gossip about the toughest guy in the crowd. Well, I'm like, yeah, I ain't in the crowd anymore, man. You know, I've already transcended the crowd. I'm now part of maybe another crowd, but certainly not of yours, right? Okay, so this is also part of boredom, because there's just nothing else. I mean, my heaven is somewhat empty, but it's also full. Okay, stick with the koans. So I listen to Ramdas a lot, and he explains these things. Alan Watts also explains them. But you cannot actually give the game away. I think Alan Watts thought he gave away the game. But he didn't. You cannot give it away. You know, you can know everything you think there is to know about solving these koans until you meet a real master. Because I'm not gonna ask you the questions. You know, I'm gonna just be there. Suddenly you're in my space and you come to me and you want something, and I'm just gonna poke you a little. And then you think, well, what was I supposed to do? I thought I won, or I thought I would win. Well, what are you trying to achieve here? I mean, you're coming in my space? I mean, you have to get this. You know, if I'm like a lion, right? Then a Zen master is like a lion, and you're on his turf if you're getting into his presence trying to annoy him. Then you're on his turf. Like a Zen master is like a lion because he's got light and shadow. He's both all the time. And you're coming with your split worldview and trying to throw him off his pedestal. You know, while you're thinking you're it, he simply is it. He's a complete expression of how he feels. I mean, he can go nuts in a second, right? He can throw a tantrum if he wants to. He can start crying. He can put up any act that he wants to put up and portray you as exactly the kind of person that you are. And then he can turn around the corner, stop crying, and then simply move on. Because everything's just an act. I mean, I have started crying just like that. And then I just stopped and said, so what? You know, everybody's suffering. You know, what's the big deal? I don't need hugs. I don't need to be cuddled. I don't need to be, you know, I don't have to ask permission. But I can wait, right? Sometimes I'm patient. I'm just gonna wait what's going to happen. Because there are things that I cannot see yet very clearly. But I'll just wait, you know, I'll be patient, you know. So yeah. We could have been friendly with each other. I mean, I have seen people who thought they could use what I said to them against me. And I took it right away from them. I simply said it into their face. Well, you can go now and talk about this to people, but what's the point? They'll never believe you anyway. And gone. Gone the power you thought you had. Right? So there is no such thing as a father in the flesh. Right? Because how do I know? In a certain way, I'm not really like my parents. I'm completely different. So, you know, who are you then? Right? Who are you then? I mean, I'm just saying, who are you then? If you're not your parents. You thought all this time you're your parents, but you're not. Your parents made their choices. You have to make yours. You cannot just copy what your parents did. You have to find your own path. You have to look at life now, right? What they did worked for them because that's how far they could see, or that's what, you know, maybe they were just looking for pleasure. So yeah, for some people, gossip seems like pleasure, but it's very stupid. It's very ignorant because you think that if you gossip, that you can hurt others, which in a way you do, but you're never thinking far enough. Because if I know my business about channeling and I realize that you gossip, I'm just gonna channel it back to you without really having, you know, I'm just gonna mirror you that stuff, Ginger, and you're simply going to never get it. You're just gonna sit there and life's gonna get darker and darker and darker. And that's your own stuff. So maybe it's like these suits they talk about in Dune that use as a kind of use the pee again to drink it, right? Maybe that's a bit like, so your energy's kind of getting stale. Okay, because Dune's about living in the desert. So maybe that's a bit like why people gossip. Because of course, it's energy, it's a meal. But, you know, I'm poison, man. You know, I'm poison. Voodoo priests, shamans, they know how to protect themselves, right? You know, I'll stay awake longer than you. And while you're sleeping, you know, you're gonna dream of me. Because I'm gonna be awake. I'm just saying, I mean, I'm doing nothing. I'm just doing my own thing. What is this guy talking about? Well, what do you think hypnosis is? Right? What do you think all these things are? It's about realizing who's playing tricks on your mind. And then reacting to it. So now we started with boredom. I'm showing you how to do apple mousse, but I've done that already. Which is why I can simply say that this video is almost done. Almost. So you see, it's much faster if I simply focus on this task that I'm doing right now. Right, I feel like I'm trying to convince everyone that what I'm saying is real. I know it's real. Which is why I simply keep paying attention, learning to focus, seeing what I need to do when, so that nobody can portray me as something I'm not. So you really have to know what to do when and how much. So sometimes you just trigger people a little and then they come forward. And then you just flash them a little. So you see how much faster it is if you don't talk. If you stay silent, you slow down time. And this is how I get done so much stuff. Because I am silent a large part of the day. Simply say nothing. Until the energy feels right to do something else. And then I open up and then I channel it. And until then I listen, right? I stay in the observer. I observe the fine planes of consciousness, the ripples of energy. I see your gossip, right? Your gossiping, I can hear it from 500 miles away. And then I start working against you without ever having to see you again. But everything you're trying doesn't work because my ripples are a bit bigger. It's like so gossip is aggressive behavior, right? Everyone does it because they think, right, they have the right. Well, they can do it. Just be careful who you do it to then. Because you think somebody's weak, they're gonna pick up on it. Just needs one guy like me suddenly moving into the neighborhood, realizing what's happening, and starting to show it to others. And suddenly everything changes. Suddenly your husband falls away. What do you do then? Nobody to torment at home anymore. What are you gonna do? Well, I said no to this kind of torture. It was tried, right? And I said nope. I have enough of this. I've seen it all my life. I'm sick of it. I want no part in it. So just let me be creative. Because that's better for you. Because I'm stronger. I know how to be alone. I know how to stay silent. I know how to hike through the darkness. I know many things. But more than I know is what I feel. Because knowledge is something people cling to. You cannot cling to any of this because it's intuitive. I had no idea I was going to make this stuff until I was in the middle of making it, right? Suddenly, I saw I was gonna do it and then I did it. But if you see something bad, you know, just don't do it. I mean, if Chester Bennings, or however his name is, would have gone hiking more, worked on his stuff, right, he would still be here making music. But he gave in. And so he's gone. It's not super tough, right? And you're weak, and you don't get it. But I've been trying to show you. Yeah. Okay, got the message. Cheers, man.